Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is a film that I have been very excited for since it was first announced, as I really enjoyed the first Doctor Strange, how it introduced the character, and I think it did overall a very fantastic job of just expanding the universe as a whole. It established the mirror dimension and the dark dimension, and I was really looking forward to how this film would expand on all this and build on things such as the multiverse. But really, it just feels like I've been having a very long battle with this film ever since I watched it. I'm very unsure if I love it or if I hate it, and really the second part of the title is just the most present, since there's just so much about it that is actually maddening, so much unexplained, and you're just really forced to roll with it. But then on the other side of the coin, they have such incredible sound design, the visuals just completely blow you away. My name is Kuroto, and this is the box office. Now before I dive into this madness, I really want to talk about how amazing the visuals are. Like, it really did not shy away from any brutality, because the main villain is definitely presented as like probably the most terrifying yet in any MCU film. Like, there's literally a scene where they make someone's head explode straight from the inside, and just them not holding back on the punches, just I appreciate that so much. It was crazy to see in like a Marvel film. I was shocked when I saw that scene. Diving between universes was absolutely fantastic. There was one that was made of skeleton skulls and bones, and then another one that was completely made out of paint. It was incredible. I really hope in future films they'll showcase more universes like this, and hopefully we'll also be able to explore these universes, because there's some really fascinating ones, and for them to then default into, another universe which is just, well, okay, they cross roads on red, is not that interesting. So I really do hope we get to explore some more wacky universes. Like, well, I don't want them to be pained for like a movie, right? But I would like to see exploration of more universes like this. Because obviously in like Loki, we already established the variants that Loki is an alligator. So I'm very curious to see, were they from a universe that was so different? Each and every frame just had so much detail involved in it. You just wanted to analyze each universe that they showed. It was just really cool. I definitely liked how they presented the universes. An amazing battle scene where they were fighting with, sheet music, and I think it was very clever to how you approach a fight. Imagine just fighting someone and then they start firing musical notes from iconic classical pieces like Beethoven's Symphony 5. Like, this film straight up did not fall short on keeping you focused on little things. These little attention to details really overall just made the experience so much more fun. But my issues really just lie into the plot. I wasn't too happy with the plot. There's one character that can pretty much jump between each of the universes freely, and their main use in this film was for them to just kind of accelerate the plot. Whenever the Scooby-Doo mystery gang gets cornered by the main antagonist, this character will quickly open up a portal to get everyone away, right? That's kind of like how they were used. They're pretty much like the plot device of this film. The main antagonist wants them, but then they're also keeping the main antagonist steps behind because they're able to escape whenever they're in danger. It made it like very jarring in that case, and it was very awkward as well when that gets pointed out near the end of the film. Like, you can do this because you've got us exactly where we needed to go every single time, and I didn't really like that approach. I really hope that this character gets like a solo movie or TV series, because they have a very interesting ability, and the fact that how they fit into the multiverse is so interesting as well, because there can only be one of them for the entire multiverse. So I really do hope they get explored a bit more, like in a solo series, so the focus is more on them, so we can definitely learn more about them. The horror elements of this film was incredible. There's a scene where the villain pulls themselves straight out of the mirror dimension, and the scene literally just completely gives me vibes of like The Ring. They're just twisting their bones out of place as they just completely crawl out. It's just an amazing moment to like establish how powerful this character is, especially since how in previous entries the mirror dimension was used in such interesting ways that you would have to definitely like calculate things about, but then they just completely obliterate its use by just how powerful they are, and it's really cool. There's a sequence where when they're being chased by them, it's completely like represented out of the traditional horror movie chase sequence, and you might be like, well, it doesn't sound that impressive. You just said it was like a traditional chase sequence, but it's the fact that it's something so new and like an MCU entry that it's just a nice uh, breath of fresh air, right? I definitely like how the horror moments were presented in this film. It definitely was used perfectly to establish how powerful the villain was, and yeah, honestly, I would be open to more like things like this in MCU because it was done perfectly, honestly. But now I really want to talk about something I really don't like. I don't like the use of cameos in these films. Now, this might kind of tap into spoilers, so just I'll put a warning here just in case. But I just again I don't think they're necessary. There's a point in the movie where they go to another universe. Yeah, shocker, they went to a different universe. Who would have guessed, right? And there's like an introduction with the people from this universe. They're another superhero team. You know, they're not called the Avengers, but they're actually called something completely different, which I think is cool because obviously in a different universe they're gonna have like their own naming conventions, which is really cool actually. So they present themselves as the Illuminati, and there's one really cool character called Black Bolt. We don't get to see much or know about them. I know that they're from like Inhumans, but that's about it, right? Doesn't have like any connection to MCU. We don't really get to know much, and they're just there really. I guess they're kind of used for like one moment that I'm not going to talk about, to establish some kind of history, but yeah, I just don't see the point. And there's another character who's supposed to be like incredibly intelligent, like one of the smartest ever, right? And for some reason, he just completely gives like Black Bolt's power away to the villain, and it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why are they here? Just for you to like completely shred on who they are as characters, right? Like, this universe is thriving so much, and it's based on this guy's intelligence, and they're just not necessary for the story. There's only one character in that universe that is very necessary for like the story and character development of like Doctor Strange. The rest is just for fans, but then how can the fans be excited about it when they're used in just terrible manners? Like in No Way Home, cameos were definitely a thing that worked completely in it, right? In this, it just doesn't. It's a different universe, so like, okay, we'll introduce these characters that are in this universe, so it feels more natural. But then, why give us some history about them if they're just gonna, just vanish in like 5 seconds? It's like, I really don't like the use of cameos. I really hope that it doesn't become like a constant new thing. Yes, the multiverse is being, used more. In multiversal stuff, should, I guess, have a cameo, but the way they used it here was terrible. But if every like new movie now just starts having cameos, it's going to become kind of annoying. Um, this I don't think they need to be used just to get people excited, because obviously before this film got released, there was a lot of like speculation and excitement around like, whoa, is this character going to be in the movie? But I don't really think they should be like used as like the main hype sauce. There is also like so many other things that just make it kind of annoying, since obviously it's already established there's infinite possibilities, right? But then there's also a very important thing that at first completely like sets up the story in the first place. They introduced a thing called dreamwalking, where essentially things that you dream of happen in another universe, which is honestly cool, but that's about it. They use that's just how they talk about it, just a little bit there. And then it's just used as a tool for the antagonist just to get around, to chase the cast with the Darkhold, powerful evil force, right? They can just use that to possess their alternate selves, so it's just used in that manner. It's very lame. It could have been explored so much, but it was just tapped into just a little bit, so just so the antagonist can have a reason to be able to explore so freely. Is how I view this. That's kind of what I think. It's just explored like that, just so okay. Now that you understand that it kind of dreams have a connection to your alternate selves, they're gonna use this now to connect with the alternate selves, right? And I don't like that. I really wish it could have been explored more, especially since there was a moment where the multiversal traveler can't dream because there's only one of them throughout the multiverse, right? Really wish they could have explored more about that. They just threw a new concept out, never really explored it, just to say it, just so okay, now we can do this. Alright, we just have to roll with it. Okay, it was a lot of like just roll with the punches. It was kind of I didn't really like it. I hope it gets called upon more, since it was definitely like it could have been used to definitely explore more about the multiverse, but it was just like you just connect to your own self because you dreamed and it happened. Your dream happened in the other universe. It's whatever, you know. It's like, what about the scene in like Age of Ultron? I personally consider this like manipulating dreams because they were put to sleep. So can say characters like Wanda manipulate other universes because they can force you to dream of your biggest fears, right? They manifest the character's biggest fears in another universe. I wouldn't say that that's the case, right? But then again, it's infinite possibilities, which is kind of like what they're going to be rolling with a lot now. I feel like whenever something isn't explained, it's just infinite possibilities. Just roll with it, right? I don't like how the main antagonist of this movie loses. Like as I've said before, like quite a few times now in this review, is that they establish this antagonist is so powerful and unbeatable, and they just lose in the most lazy manner ever. It's like, take the manner of Padme from Star Wars, right? They die because they were too sad, and that really puts like an anticlimactic end to their character, right? Since there's no other logical way that they could think of to conclude their character, since their role was complete, right? So essentially, kind of the same treatment goes on here. Obviously, not because of the original trilogy existed, not them being that. There's nothing like that, right? I just don't think the conclusion is very cool. Like, the journey was already rocky as it was, and this is how they concluded the journey. Another thing I'm going to put on the screen here is an article that I read that pretty much confirms that Sam Raimi didn't watch WandaVision except a few key points. So I'm just going to rip the band-aid off and say that, well, Wanda's character didn't really maintain the same development, or they didn't even at least show resistance to try, maintain any development gotten from the series WandaVision. He obviously showcased knowledge of key events, as there is a motivation in the movie that is taken from that series, but don't really expect like a chapter 2 straight out of WandaVision in terms of a character to be, expected here. I'm gonna give this movie a 6 out of 10 on the box office. I I did enjoy it a lot, but thinking more about the things around it, it makes me have to dumb it down. But if I worked purely on my enjoyment I had in the cinema, it would be an 8. Because I absolutely love the visuals, the sound. This movie is really beautiful. Like, I love all the like little attention to detail they put into it. This is the end of today's episode. If I am to give it a score purely based on that, I would give it an 8. But because of the issues I kind of like tapped into a little bit, I have to definitely give it a 6. This has been Kuroto. You've been watching the box office. Until next time.